Dr. Chanakriya, who is one of our senior devotees here, but he's also here especially on behalf of the Mayapur Community Sevaks. I also am a participant in that, but he's one of the especially senior members of the Mayapur Community Sevaks, because we are here to talk about how to deal with and prevent all kinds of abuse in our community, children and adults, and domestic, the whole range. So our format here is that we would like to request people, first of all, to write things down. While we're hearing from the devotees who are going to be speaking, we're passing out some papers. You can, if you want to put your name, you can put your name, or leave it anonymous. Questions, suggestions, we're going to be focusing here on suggestions. I will tell you in advance that, and I think this will be expressed by the speakers also, that the purpose of our Isthagosthi here is to let you all know about first of all, to affirm what has been already stated once in the Bhagavatam class, also in messages that have gone out to our community about the increased focus on making every attempt that we can to achieve a abuse-free Mayapur. And so some of the steps that are already being contemplated, some of those things that are already in place, and things that are now being contemplated to increase and plan to increase, they will be explained. But we expect, the group here is expecting that you also will have suggestions. You may also have questions about what's going to be done or what will be. So questions that relate to how to go forward are most welcome. Now, questions related to how things have happened in the past, those questions will be dealt with in a different way. This forum here is not equipped to deal, it's not an investigative type of forum here in this devotion. On the other hand, any questions regarding something that has happened in the past are important. It's not that they're not important. They have to be dealt with. But they're better dealt with in a systematic way, involving some investigation, some review of things by various people. And they'll be explaining about some of those efforts that will be coming forward. So I'm charged with determining, what questions and suggestions and so on are appropriate for this particular forum. But I wanted to say in advance that everything is important. There's nothing that's not important and that shouldn't be heard. It's just that we, in this particular forum, we're going to be focusing on the future. I hope that's acceptable, and that you'll help me out here. So as I said, you can write things down. We're going to first take those comments and suggestions that are in writing. So if you want to, and then as we have time, we'll invite, we'll invite devotees who want to just stand up and speak to do so. But we're going to first try to handle things through this writing system. Okay, is that all right? I mean, we'll discuss that later. If there's a question about how it's made, yes? Yes.
Just to clarify, if I have question, suggestion, I need to write it down and then...
It's preferred that you write it down.
Right.
It's preferred. But if you feel like you need to speak, then we're first going to deal with those that are in writing, and then we'll go to those just to make things smoother. Okay? Is that right? Okay. So thank you for bearing with me and hearing out the introduction. By the way, there is Russian translation, and it is on the... Oh, someone is coming now. Okay, so the Russian translator is on the way. And by the way, we are, you may notice there's a camera up there, and This is only for our internal purpose. Nothing is being broadcast here. Nothing will be broadcast. Okay, so it's not that you feel completely comfortable. Nothing that is said here is going to be broadcast to the world and so on. So please be, but for our own purposes, in order to be able to compile good notes and to take down things nicely, we are recording this, but this is only internal. Is that okay? Everyone is comfortable with that? Okay? Thank you, Hare Krishna. So, do we have somebody to help with the microphones and so on? So we'd like to ask Jayapataka Maharaj to begin and to address us. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Here at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, as I mentioned a couple of Saturdays ago, this is Audarya dham.
And here you get 1,000 times for any devotional service done.
Here you get 1,000 times benefit for any devotional service done.
And you don't get 1,000 times for offenses.
You don't get 1,000 times for the offenses
As you do in Vrindavan.
as you do in Vrindavan.
One thing I noticed, Lord Caitanya, he don't forgive those easily who offend devotees.
One thing we noticed is that Lord Caitanya, he didn't forgive easily those who offend devotees.
If the devotees were offended in the Hindu side.
If devotees were offended, he would get very upset.
And unless a person goes to that devotee, begs for this, and then Lord Caitanya will accept him.
Unless a person goes to the devotee and begs for forgiveness, Lord Caitanya would not accept them.
And so, any kind of abuse to our dependents, especially children, women, any kind of offense to our spouse or vaishnavas is something that we want to avoid. Because we want not to happen.
So, any kind of offense to our dependents like children, women, those under our protection, this is with vaishnavas, vaishnavis, this is something that we want to avoid. We don't want it to happen.
We want to have an offense-free, abuse-free community.
We want to have an offense-free, abuse-free community.
And this is our world spiritual headquarters.
This is our world spiritual headquarters.
Our DVC is also very conscious of what happens here.
Our GBC is also very conscious of what happens here.
So they made a resolution inviting some professionals who have experience in the UK government.
So they made a resolution inviting some professors who have experience with the United Kingdom government
child abuse and managing schools and things.
on child abuse, managing schools and things.
And they're going to do a study of Mayapur and Vrindavan.
And they're going to do a study of Mayapur and Vrindavan.
Maybe, I don't remember all the details, maybe I don't remember so many details.
I don't remember all the details. Maybe Hridaya Chaitanya may remember more details.
Three phases.
There are 3 phases.
One is the CPO, CPT, all that.
One is the CPO, CPT, and all that.
Other 2 phases of school administrations are
Other 2.
I think it's the schools and the administration.
Schools and administration.
And administrators will be also investigated.
As administrators, we will also be investigated.
So this is one thing I said it'll take 2 months to do it. I don't know, they'll come here after the festivals.
This is something they said will take 2 months to do it, and they come here after the festival.
3 hours probably Christmas time. Because
After Christmas and New Year's.
then we have our CDD here.
And we have our CPT here.
I have a statement he's doing.
He will speak, we would like him to speak what he's doing.
And so we have something in place. I know that through the years, the CPT has changed.
So we have something here. Over the years, different CPT heads have changed.
And we are also, we want our members to be sympathetic and empathetic with the victims.
We want our members to be sympathetic and empathic with the victims.
So that they feel integrated with the community.
So they feel integrated with the community.
For some reason, they feel they can speak openly.
For some reason, they didn't feel that they could speak openly until recently.
As soon as they spoke, we called in the CPO to
As soon as they spoke, we called in the CPO to see the matter.
and so that somehow that decision, as they call it,
And somehow that decision was made public.
and before you do anything, there's a law rule previously, I didn't do laws, he left the country.
Before we could do anything, Anirudesha Babu, previously Bhaktivedanta Swami, had left the country.
Now the distant the cases on with child abuse, pastoral abuse, sannyasi ministry, the gurus of their ministry.
So I want to inform you that the case is with the CPO, pastoral case of CPO, pastoral abuse. Sannyas, okay, with the sannyas ministry.
The CPO, this
CPO, there's a CPO decision.
and there's the PLMO pastoral abuse, and that's along with the decision that
Then there is PLMO, Prevention of Leadership Misconduct Office. They have not yet come up with their decision.
the sannyas and gurus ministries of
Sannyas and Guru's ministry,
how they have decided is he should not be accepted as a guru, he should not be accepted as a sannyasi.
they have decided that he should not be accepted as a guru, he should not be accepted as a sannyasi.
And that's a situation.
So that's the situation.
So then on the right within 60 days to appeal,
He has a right within 60 days to appeal.
it's up to him.
It's up to him.
So what this thing happened in 2005 to 10.
This thing happened between 2005 to 10.
And the victim didn't want to press charges,
The victim did not want to press charges,
but even if she wanted to or didn't want to, the law and child abuse only came into effect in 2012.
even if she did want to. The law on child abuse in India came into effect only from 2012.
That's how previous
This happened previous to that.
I will be present law. Any child abuse or any kind has to be reported by the managers.
According to the present law, any child abuse of any form has to be reported to the police by the managers.
This case happened before that.
This case happened before that.
Without the victim participating, but not for me anything. Once it is done.
Without the victim participating, there's not much that you can do.
Anyway, we want to hear any victims, any people that feel affected by this situation.
Anyway, we want to hear victims or any other people affected by this situation,
Or anyone
or
who wants to speak with me or me or who directors,
anyone who wants to speak to me or our co-directors.
and depend to write down how to see that Swami, how to see writing down the street, who wants to directors.
On the paper you can write, I want to see Jayapataka Swami, I want to meet Lord Caitanya or any of our co-directors.
And write such arrangements.
We will make such arrangements.
So let's see, the Mayapur, we want to make an ombudsman.
In Mayapur, we want to make an ombudsman.
But I think we should have several ombuds people.
I think we should have several ombuds people.
That's for you to also to suggest.
But that's also for you to also suggest.
We are thinking, Lord Caitanya, he's recommended Jayapataka.
We were thinking that Lord Caitanya, he has recommended Jivanath Prabhu.
Have you talked to Jayapataka?
I don't know if you talked to Jivanath. I talked 1 year ago.
But I thought maybe I should have been always speaker also, maybe a lady also.
I was thinking maybe there should be a lady also, a Bengali speaker also.
But if you think of the qualification of a good person is that he should be very confidential.
One of the qualifications of the ombuds person is that he should be very confidential.
And he should be well respected by the managers.
And he should be very well respected by the managers.
If someone tells them something, he tells them not to reveal the name, he can't reveal it.
So if someone tells him something and they tell him don't reveal the name, then he can't reveal it.
He can go to the managers and say, this problem is there.
But he can go to the managers and say this problem is there.
Or he can recommend the person how to solve the problem.
Or he can recommend to the person how to solve the problem.
If you have any suggestion on which persons write down.
If you have any suggestion on obvious persons, please write them down.
How they should be also and check who actually is responsible for coming up with an error.
We're going to also have the CPO come in and check who exactly is responsible for covering up the matter.
And so some people shouldn't be involved with our children.
Such people should not be involved with our children.
So I know trying to do the things.
Like that, we are trying to do different things.
And I heard especially with some cases of child neglect.
I heard especially that there are some cases of child neglect.
Someone went off their involvement for a 6-month vacation.
Someone went off to Vrindavan on a 6-month vacation
Left their minor child alone.
and left their minor child alone.
And that's really a kind of extreme case.
That's really a kind of extreme case.
But even if you leave the child alone for one day,
Even if you leave your child alone for one day,
I took a CPO, I took a course a few months, a few years ago, 20 years ago,
CPO kind of
course.
course. Yeah, many years ago, 20 years ago.
And I said 90% of this are non-people.
They said that 90% of abuses are from known people,
Uncles, relatives, neighbors,
uncles, relatives, neighbors.
So if you leave your child alone,
So if you leave your child alone
don't have any adult supervising,
without any adult supervising,
abusing could potentially, if they don't come into our house, I use the sweets,
they can come into your house and give them some sweets.
they can invite, come here,
Or they can invite the child to their house to give them some sweets
and abuse them.
and abuse them.
They know the tactics.
They know all the tactics.
And a child may not know this is something forbidden.
The child may not know that this is something forbidden.
We have what CTT teaches its school students, as all I know. I taught special things.
The CPT teaches the school students, as far as I know, right touch, wrong touch, and these kinds of things.
So I don't know if they also have courses for their parents,
I don't know if they also have courses for the parents.
but that's also an important thing.
That is also an important thing.
How should be able to see, recognize the symptoms of child abuse.
Parents should be able to see or recognize the symptoms of child abuse.
If someone neglecting their child and leaving the child unattended, we should somehow management should be done.
And if you see someone leaving child unattended, then the management should be told.
And I told them, I'm ready to only want to speak to me, but only until you showed up.
I was told that many devotees want to see me and speak to me, but only 3 devotees showed up.
And then 2 of my new to Mayapur.
2 are
Very new.
2 are very new to Mayapur,
So they didn't know what the MCS was.
so they didn't know what the MCS was.
I don't know how you don't know what the MCS is.
How many of you don't know what the MCS is?
Mayapur Community Sevaks.
Mayapur Community Sevaks.
I have to empower any suggestions how they can be more effective.
If you have any suggestions how they could be more effective,
Actually, it's supposed to serve its community.
actually they are supposed to serve each community.
Sometimes assigned to sectors,
Certain members have been assigned different sectors,
but they're actually following the duties, I don't know.
but whether they're actually following their duties, I don't know.
So, we have all these systems in place that are supposed to help the devotees.
We have all these systems in place that are supposed to help devotees,
But whether they're effective or not, whether they're doing what they're supposed to do,
whether they are effective or not, or whether they're doing what they're supposed to do,
we can't. We need your help.
we need your help.
You have to take care of your children. You have to tell us if there's some aspect that can be improved.
We have to take care of the children. You have to tell us if there is some aspect that needs to be improved.
If you have any doubts, any questions,
If you have any doubts, any questions,
of course we want to hear that and see that we've taken appropriate action.
of course we want to hear and see that enough appropriate action is taken.
So, that's kind of the introductory, explanatory thing.
There's kind of introductory, exploratory kind of thing.
I don't know if I said everything.
I don't know if I said everything.
Anyway, so now I hear what you.
Anyway, I spoke a lot. I want to hear now from you.
I'm talking about your personal and other attention. Yes.
Of course, first I want to hear from the other co-directors and leaders.
I'd like to ask Nina to come to say a few words. Here.
Om Agyantimirandasya Vinasratya Shakshuram Militam Yena Tasma Shri Namaha. First of all, if anybody is present who has undergone abuse in any form, sexual, psychological, physical, pastoral, any form of abuse, then on behalf of the co-directors, I would like to say very much sorry for that, because Mayapur should be a place that is free of abuse. That is our task. That is also one of the reasons why we are together today, to get suggestions from you how to get to the point of Mayapur being free of abuse. And this morning I came across a short text what Prabhupada wrote or spoke. The more we attempt to exploit material nature according to our whims, the more we shall become entrapped by the reaction of such exploitive attempts. So, what to speak of, this type of attempts where we exploit devotees for our own sense gratification. This is such a nasty business, and is so detrimental for our spiritual life. And we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, it's lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed into vrat, and which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of this world. So lust is the perverted reflection of love of God. And love of God is natural, but lust is there side by side. And Srila Prabhupada further on explains that if we from young, like children, like Gurukul, if we grow up in an environment where Krishna consciousness is central, then it's natural to develop love of Godhead in such a situation, and it will not so easily deteriorate into lust. Of course, Srila Prabhupada also says that when the mind, the senses, the intelligence, and the false ego are, affected by lust, then it's not an easy task to turn it around. But he also says that the process of Krishna consciousness is powerful enough to do that, to be able to do that. So, in relation to what we have done, Maharaj mentioned many things, and we did have meetings with the Bhaktivedanta Academy, and where Bhakti Arya Priti Vardhana Maharaj is the divisional head, and where Baladev Prabhu is the school director, and he has a team of devotees who regularly meet. We also, as co-directors, we went there 2 times to meet with everybody, and especially 2 times specifically, we also met with the teachers. So then we also met with the alumni of the girls' Gurukul and the alumni of the boys' Gurukul. And we heard their feedback in what should be improved. Also some things that were disturbing that happened. We also got to hear that. We took a note of that also. And so these are the things which we have done. We also would like to stress more the attendance in the morning program, especially from our managers, divisional heads, department heads, and the devotees in general, that they attend the morning program. And MCS, as mentioned, exists for several years, but to some devotees is not known so much. But they do have meetings together as the leaders and also per sector, and where they try to solve the problems of sometimes, in some cases, also problems of abuse. Now, what is the GBC doing? GBC is sending a team of the Krishna Bhakti School. I think Krishna Prabhu is the director. There are like 5-6 schools, especially in London, but in UK in general. And he is coming with 2 professionals from the schools who are specialized, and they will put the fingers on the pulse of the different 3 different schools we have. Bhaktivedanta Academy, PTNS, and Smith School. And they will look at all the different aspects of the school. And of course, one aspect is what is in place to prevent abuse. That's of course an important aspect, but they also want to look at the organization, and they want to meet with the teachers, and they want to ask very particular questions, and then later they will give a report as to what are their findings, where our schools are at, and what should be improved according to them in the school on different levels. Then also the GBC is setting up a public inquiry. I don't know much detail about that, because that's not yet fully developed, but they want to do a public inquiry that is where they ask questions, especially to the seniors, but to everybody, as to why this could happen within the community of Mayapur, and it went unseen or unnoticed, or why can it happen? What went wrong that it was not stopped timely? So this type of public inquiry that will be done, that's an initiative by the GBC body. And then PLMO Maharaj mentioned is the Prevention of Leadership Misconduct Office. So, and pastoral abuse falls on that. Everything that happens, abuse that happens with adults, by somebody in a leadership position, a divisional head, department head, or co-director, or any position, or a senior preacher, any abuse from these persons. GBC some time ago, 1 or 2 years ago, but it takes time before it really is set up. But now it is fully set up. Champakalata Mataji from South Africa, she is heading that Prevention of Leadership Misconduct Office, and they can be approached if necessary. And of course, we have our local CPD here, Ganeshan Prabhu is here, that is active since several years, and is also doing proactive information to the children, and Maharaj suggested that also the parents should be should hear as to how abuse can be prevented. So I will stop here because time is moving, and I see there are many papers with Pancharanji. Maybe one that you can handle today.
Yes, there is. Yes, and it's not the weight of the papers, it's my bad. It's all of it. So I'm not complaining. We are appreciative, actually. At least I am, about the all of it, everything that has been brought up here. It's all very valuable and important. And I want to thank everybody personally. But we do have a limited amount of time. We don't really have a time set. We're just going to go on probably at least for another half hour, 45 minutes, half an hour. 1 hour we can go to 1 o'clock. Yeah, so let's see. We'll try to go as far as we can. I don't think we'll be able to respond to everything. And many things, as I said, are questions that are going to need to be responded to in a proper way. So, but before we begin looking at everything that's been submitted here, would some of the other devotees like to just say a few words? Prabhupada Maharaj, want to say anything? Or just go right into the... Okay, we're going to get going. I'm going to start with all the suggestions, okay? Because a lot of suggestions were made. And this one, okay? So I'm just going to basically read and summarize for everybody, for you especially to hear. And I'm not going to read them all out, otherwise it really would take a lot of time. And then we'll go to the more questioning type of submissions. So I was suggesting a website that lists the management structure, ombudsman. We've already heard that there is a commitment to establishing an office of ombuds. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, an ombuds is a person who is trained, okay? We have actually in India, there is a group that is dedicated to training. It's part of ISKCON Resolve. And an ombuds has a very special role in an organization. The first quality of an ombuds is that they are absolutely confidential. They are assured, they have to be trusted that when they hear something from anyone, it doesn't go beyond that. Unless that person wants it. The ombuds also, to be effective, has to absolutely have the full ear of the management. In other words, the management, they have immediate access, full access to the management. And they can help to direct and people towards getting their issues resolved. So there's a commitment to that. Okay. CPT must be very visible in Mayapur. Okay, so that's a suggestion to be more visible. Excuse me? CPT should be more visible. We need more younger grihasthas sitting up there right now. Ooh, Hare Krishna, okay. CPO and CPT must be properly funded. Properly funded. DBC and co-directors properly empower the CPO and CPT. Yeah. Need for DBC and co-directors to preach. The child worship comes before deity worship, as per Srila Prabhupada. Okay. committee, communication bridge between community and management. MCS is, because some of these things, I mean, I read them and I say, well, I think there's a lack of understanding about the MCF, but there are a number of questions and comments about how are the members of the MCS chosen.
Can you please read them as they are? That would be
MCS for Westerners, we need a board, not one-man show, but there isn't a one-man show, that's what I'm saying. So,
right now?
excuse me?
Who's representing the community right now here?
Well, right now, the two MCS members here are Dr. Janapriya and myself.
From the Western,
Most of the MCS, and Sharna Prabhupada, sorry.
including
Sharna Prabhupada is here, and myself, and Dr. Janapriya. We're MCS members. Democratic system, voting for Russians, not imposing who their leaders should be. Community should choose their representatives for MCS board. Management should not choose board members. Only allow trained teachers. Trained teachers should be allowed to work in our schools. We cannot just engage anyone just because they're a devotee. A degree in child education or something similar is necessary. What's being done about, okay, that's a question. Suggestion. Take advantage of the various courses and support offered by Karuna Care. We also have resident qualified devotees in our community, social workers, psychologists, counselors, involved. And, yeah, something. Education in all aspects of safeguarding for all members of the community, including children, parents, teachers, leaders, and any members of the community. This education should be systematic, professional, measurable, and compulsory. Transparency and zero tolerance. There is a communication gap between the leadership and the community. That gap needs to be bridged. Devotees need to be able to express confidentially and without fear with the leaders their concern. So ombudsman is again the same. MCS should have devotees willing to spend time with devotees who are victims of abuse. CPO clearance needed for all teachers, staff, volunteers, and anyone dealing with kids. That's in place now, right? I mean, there is no one can, at least for where his children are involved, or wherever there's children involved, they have to have CPO clearance. Isn't that correct? For a long time, I believe. Navadvipa, you want to respond to that?
In Mayapur International School, we make it a habit every year before the commencement of the academic year. A list of teachers who are going to serve the school will be sent to the CPO. We are sending it to the CPO, and CPO gets a clearance, whether they're old teachers or new teachers. Every year before the commencement of the academic year, we do send it to CPO for the clearance of the CPO. That's for information.
So this anyway, it is a policy already, but perhaps more communication. And pretty much the same thing goes for the academy.
That's many teachers who have been in the Gurukul system have had witnessed abuse, so why are they teaching?
Well, that's a question which needs to be addressed, and that gets into the next part. Okay? Regular CPT visits to schools, I believe that's also going on. Counselors available in each school who speak to kids regularly. So I believe there are counselors in some schools, no? Okay, so counselors, that's a suggestion. Once a year, twice a year, CPT workshops for schools. I believe there are workshops for the schools. You want to respond to that? Right now you do have workshops going on, at least in this. Mentorship systems for kids and youth, one-on-one. Strict policies of interactions between teachers and students. CPT training required for all teachers, volunteers, staff, etc. Psychological evaluations to be conducted on all teachers. Okay. Suggestions, okay. Regular, again, abuse seminars, sexual harassment abuse seminars to those involved with children. Reevaluate school ISKCON policies. Anyway. Enforcement of consequences, reevaluated. Regular checks. This is a little hard for me to read, so I'm going to have to spend a little more time on that. But from what I can tell, the points that have been already brought up. Okay, not keep the silence if something happened. If violence in community, we must to speak loudly about it. All the devotees must have real information, real truth, and we must punish those people who are doing this violence. Put the lights on the street. Okay, that's it. Put the lights on the streets. It will be also protection. So, street lights. Okay. Yeah. So this is again, now this is extending MCS clearance to MCS clearance and CPT, MCS clearance for employment. So there's before the suggestion there was some explanation about an incident where somebody was employed but had been violating some policies in another ISKCON center, but there was no investigation. So that's another suggestion. Ombudsman. Oh, there's a recommendation of a person for ombudsman. Yeah, so that will take up. Trained team of CPT offers who perform oversight. Okay, some of these are repetitions, so I won't repeat everything. Thorough child safety infrastructure and policies need to be enforced. Okay, so these are educating children about their own safety. These are repetitions primarily. Okay, many good things are happening in Mayapur, but there's missing continuing stage programs, performance, and theater. So I guess that's connected to enthusing children. All right. Abuse is defined by causing harm to the victims, and then there's some description about the loudness of our sound systems. Because the powerful speakers are now affecting our children's ears. That's possibly very true. Do not install additional big speakers, reduce the volume of the existing ones. So many, many wonderful suggestions. Now, there was one in Russian, which someone...
sometimes on internet we have very critical people who really express their intolerance to some devotees, criticize, and we shouldn't hear all these things, and should be something to prevent this. And we have to understand who is who in this social media, who is suitable to speak and whom we shouldn't hear from. Because it affects our consciousness, the consciousness of our seniors as well as children. So this critic should be stopped. And also the devotees should ask different questions regarding all this criticism in internet to reliable people who can explain and prevent this also, because it affects the consciousness.
Okay, there's a few more suggestions, and then I'm going to ask for any of the devotees on the panel here would like to respond to anything before we go to the next section. So, have more istagosthis like this regularly. At least once in 3 months.
1 month. 1 month.
Oh, 1 month, okay. Once a week. In New York, we had, it wasn't once a week, but it was fairly regular. Of course, you know, and now I'm just making a comment, but istagosthi is not just for complaints and so on. Istagosthi is also for ishta, push, to talk about Krishna. Especially those teachers in schools, they must some psychological tests. So that was also discussed. Suggestion for teachers, they should be very polite, gentleness, positive language. Okay. I'm only taking those that are related to our topic here. There was a topic here about signboards for the guests, but that's not our topic. Okay, so there are a number of questions which I'm going to get to now, but let's first hear. Discipline is essential in schools, trust between parents, CBT to be more active, okay. Access, the list of qualified professionals should be publicized. Proper education of what is abuse. That was one of the questions also. There's a number of questions that have to deal about the definitions of abuse and how to identify it. So this is a suggestion in the form of an issue. Subtle bullying, like restricting a junior devotee and approaching higher authorities to share their problems or issues, cutting off scope for growth in Srila Prabhupada's mission, not allowing voluntary services, not allowing to contact other senior devotees can be reduced or stopped. So in other words, it's a suggestion pointing out a problem and just basically saying, deal with it. So if we were to, okay. I just suggest speaking to the Bhaktivedanta Academy in Alachua and having some interaction because their school has a lot of good qualities and may be able to help us. Okay, so there is a number, this particular suggestion I'm going to take along with the questions. We need to have devotees, brahmacharis, from Sankirtan department. I personally have faced physical abuse, so there is a issue here to expand, to take note of potential issues in the brahmacharya. Okay, so this I'm going to put with that. I apologize to any of you whose questions I read out in a way that you didn't like. Sorry, but they are all here. And they will be kept here, so, and if I did a good job, yeah, thank you. So, would any of the panel members like to respond before we go to the next? Excuse me? You'd like to hear he would like to hear what the CBD is doing. So, Ganesham, just give us a few minutes talking about your service, okay?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my dhanavats to you. CPT is basically doing everything A to Z actually. Our main focus is on training, though some people commented that CPT should be more prominent, they should stand out more. I do appreciate that and we would love to do that. But in the past there was some difficulties in doing that, and see, the only thing we can do is we post our statement in the forum, in the different departments about CPT training, and of course we don't force anyone. If they are willing to take it, then we schedule it and then we do it. So actually just a few days ago we had a CPT training in the Bhaktivedanta Academy, the Gurukula there. And likewise we regularly do in the international school, in the national school and different schools that we, in other words, whoever we offer our services, whoever wants, they request and then we do it. Aside from that, we do interviews, investigations, we do reportings. So basically everything. I am extremely happy with the management in the sense right now they are doing this kind of programs, Isthagosthi, which is the old school. We used to always do this in the past. And it brings out devotees, I don't want to take too much time, but there are different devotees in public that have so much knowledge and so much input they can put into the society, into the community. And if we get to hear them, then it's very, very nice. So I just want to say, actually, just to mention to you, some of you may not know, I have grown up in ISKCON, mostly in Gurukula, and I especially appreciate Srila Jayapataka Maharaj's input on these things. I'll just give you a little story of in the past, how there was, we have matured together in the society with so many difficulties and so many child abuse cases, this and that, even from the very beginning. I was one of the first group of Gurukula that Srila Prabhupada set up in Mayapur, and growing up together with, some of the other boys. And I remember particularly one incident that, because we couldn't recite the whole chapter of Gita Gan, we had to skip prasadam, we couldn't get prasadam. So that was very mean. And during this time, of course, the whole CPT, all these things were not there. So, So I secretly went in the evening to Srila Jayapataka Maharaj, and those days, Mayapur community was very small, so you can imagine, to see Maharaj was so easy. You just walk up to his room, that's it. And I reported to him, Maharaj, today we didn't have any prasadam. I didn't have any prasadam, and few other boys. So immediately he took a pen and he wrote a small note, and at that time our principal was Hiranyagarbha Prabhu. And he said, Prabhu, you cannot make children fast for so long. Please let them have prasadam. So I still till today I remember that. So thank you very much, Jayapataka Maharaj. And anyway, so as you know, the saying goes that it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not just CPT, it is not just Mayapur management, it is not just the parents, it's everybody, it's collective effort. So it's not, I do appreciate.
20 years later, 30 years later from when you said that you had this incident with Prabhupada, we have children in Mayapur that are not getting school today, that are not in school, that the lady just
We cannot hear.
Okay, Major Rani?
Sorry.
It's okay. We'll have some time for just hand raising and speaking and so on. But we have to respect, hold on. We have to respect all the devotees who have written down their points very nicely. I'd like to please give us time to hear those points, okay? And then we'll proceed to more open, just raising hands, etc. But there's one more suggestion which I think is very, very important here that I'd like to. Are you feeling good, Sean? Are you okay? Can we as parents take the time to be more present in our children's education? And then this is, I guess, would you be willing and enthusiastic to be part of a parent-teacher circle in your child's school and be practically involved in helping to create the quality of the experience you wish for? So that's another important suggestion. And the leaders must be able to empower others to come forward and invite specialists to contribute to the community. So have festivals for fun festivals, food festivals for children. Have positive programs. Co-directors can regularly interact with school staff, those involved in similar services on a regular basis. Okay, I'm now going to move to the category. Oh, okay, here. The leaders must clearly let us know a list of principles which every leader is following individually. Okay. I'm going to move now to this other pile. This file is more in the realm of why or what, or, it's not so much these. What I've been reading out so far are suggestions. Do this, how about this? This would be good. I mean, parent circles, more training, more funding, more theater, more fun, more streetlights. There is actually a list of some questions that are kind of in the realm of suggestions that have to do with better sanitation. That's in our communities. So, but then there are some kind of more pointed questions that deserve to be heard. As I said in the beginning, this is a hearing session. This is, and any of you have been to hearings in your town hall type of things? So sometimes there's a hearing, and basically the community or the people are invited to come up and just, hear. Some of the questions are asked, but the role of the hearers is to take it all in, not necessarily to respond on the spot. Okay, so that's going to be our protocol here. That let you speak, let you make yourselves heard, But to be fair to the panel, we're going to, and to make sure that people do get heard, we're going to give them some time to respond, okay? Yes, Randy.
I have a question for the CBT.
Well, if you could write it down, okay? Because I have a lot of questions for the CBT. So there's many, many questions for CBT and for directors, etc. I am trying to kind of club them together because so maybe your question is already there in the group that I have. Can you write it down? Is that okay? Yeah? I just want to respect all those who took the time to write things down. So now I need to get this pie. All right, here we go. I tried to do a little ordering, but it's not so easy. Okay, now his suggestion, CPT shall be the CPT. V stands for all Vaishnavas. So, well, that's, I mean, CPT stands for children, so that's where we're. Okay, so, and did you just? Yeah. So there are a number of questions that maybe, that we can get perhaps an answer right now. Are the current CPT members experienced in the field? So there's a few questions about the CPT members themselves, their training and so on. And perhaps you can also tell us who are, because CPT is not just you, it's a team. So can you tell us who are the members of the CPT and their training and their experience? Ganesha, could you just...
Hare Krishna. Well, the thing is, in the past, up until now, I'm very sorry to say that, but CPT wasn't the focused, department or whatever, So I had been requesting many times, several times, that we need a good team, a full-time team. So right now we have, we haven't had that. But for now we have 4 team members. I mentioned to you, they are in the audience here. There's Akinchan Balaram Prabhu and...
Yeah. That's what he's saying. Maybe raise your hand.
There's Akinchan Balaram Prabhu who's standing in the audience here. His good wife, I don't know if he's here. If she's here, she's not here. Then we have Karunamayi Mataji right here in the back. She's
Karunamayi. By the way, you mentioned about training. And Karunamayi, you do have experience in counseling and a number of...
So then we have another CPT member sitting in the audience, Giriraj Kripa Prabhu.
Stand up, please.
He is one of our representatives. He is the representative in the international school, CPT representative.
What is his training? What are your qualifications?
The question is, how do the CPT, what training have the CPT members received?
Well, we received training from the CPO directly, most of us did, and we continue doing that as well. But to directly answer your questions, there hasn't been a system like that. We basically work with whom we got. That is not correct, of course. But specialized in CPT, I myself, I had some training over the years with being in the different, departments. But no, I'll directly answer again that we don't have specialized people, except right now we have someone, one Mataji, Karunamayi Mataji, I heard she's a specialist. So we're working on it. See, we're also, like I said, we are growing and we are working on it to do that.
Just this morning, actually, I received all of the training that's provided by the CPO, the Child Protection Office in England, This is the child protection team in Mayapur. Just this morning, I received all the training manuals. So I personally am onboarding as of this morning. And I only joined the CPT 1 week ago. So give me a moment.
Historically, I received CPT training in the first batch, back in I don't know what it was, 1990, long ago. And I would like to just, emphasize that there are many levels of training in child protection. And that for our local team, the CPO's level is good, but my personal suggestion is that we also need to have, highly trained people, at least on call, for to deal with things, because sometimes it gets quite complicated. Okay. So there was, as I said, there was a number of questions regarding the training. Also, how the CPT. But anyway, I'm going to try, as I said, there's so many different questions here. And I'm going to try to club things together a little bit in order to get it going. There's the next very, very important group of questions. Has to do with how reporting takes place. Who do you go to? How do you report? What's the system? And both for children, child abuse cases, or and there is another question: is what's the definition of abuse? So there's a need, and I think that rather than trying to do that here, since it's something that the whole community needs to hear about, that's something that would be some very immediate type of response that the CPT and the MCS can also provide the community with a good guidelines on what are the definitions, and also the reporting channels. Right now, there's two bodies that are, and I'm just responding to this, taking the liberty. Two bodies that are charged with the initial intake, you could say, of reports, and that is the MCS in respect of domestic abuse cases, and the CPT in respect of children. But there was another whole bunch of questions that have to deal with abusive situations in general. Like somebody, you heard, there was somebody asking about a feeling of intimidation. And there's a number of questions like that. And those right now are a topic for the management to consider.
Is 12:30.
Yes.
I saw 15 people already leaving. Can you read the questions, please?
Yeah, well, I am trying to read, I can't read all of them, because I'm trying to summarize the questions that I received, okay? That's what I'm doing.
Summarize, just read them out.
All right, well, then I can't do that, sorry. Because there's 100 things here, okay? So I'm taking them in groups, all right? So another big one, many questions, like this is just I'll read it out and I summarize this. When do we identify as a disturbing action of someone towards another person as abuse? What are the guidelines to go by to classify an action as abuse? So there was at least 3 questions that basically said the same thing, and that's why I said what I said. Then there's another big, I'll read this one because it kind of is identical to a number of them. Why do we in Mayapur have devotees holding managerial positions who are recognized as child abusers? So, there was a number of and I mean, I have at least 4 or 5 that are. So that is for the management to respond to. And as I said, We're here to hear. If any of the ministers here would like to respond to that, they're welcome to do so right now. Otherwise, my understanding is that all questions will be responded to in good time, not too long. Okay. Well, as I said, if anyone wants to respond to the management right now, they can do that right now. What has the Mayapur management done to give protection to the several victims in terms of psychological and financial help?
If you want to write
Why is ISKCON trying to keep these matters, child abuse and domestic violence, as a private internal business when they are police cases? We did hear we heard some, at least in terms of one of them. Will the ESCO office be reestablished?
Yes.
Investigate.
We need.
As far as the abuse of some of the victims of psychological abuse,
As per victim of psychological abuse,
I'm paying for 2 to have counseling.
I'm paying for 2 to have counseling.
80 pounds and 50 minutes.
80 pounds, 50 minutes.
So I'm paying for that.
I'm paying for that.
And we're trying to, I offered that, I think ladies, and then otherwise, alliance that can help with the counseling from a psychologist.
And offering that anyone, any lady, they can receive that counseling from psychologists.
But some of the other alumni, how they would rather have, like in Australia, so free giveaway over.
Some of the alumni, they have free aid given by the government.
So they're availing of that.
They're availing of that.
What's the other question?
What's the other question?
Someone in Mayapur is a non-abuser, is a religion of authority.
You said that someone in Mayapur is a known abuser but is holding some position of authority. Who's that?
Position at all?
What positions do they have?
Not Mayapur management.
They're not in the Mayapur management.
They're advising Audarya and the TLDD, but they know Audarya.
They are advising Ambarish and the TOVP. You can take it up with Ambarish.
But we don't have them in any Mayapur position.
We don't have them in any Mayapur position.
I don't think they're restricted from giving advice.
I don't think that they are restricted from giving advice.
We'll check the CPO things on them.
But we will check the CPO things on them.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that owners should be sensitive for whatever concerns you have.
I'm sure that Ambarish should be sensitive to whatever concerns that you have. Any other questions for management?
Okay, so there's some questions that might be, what provisions does management have in place to protect? 1, informers, CPT managers, 3, others involved in investigation. And a corresponding question might be, why are good devotees slandered and blacklisted by local management and FRO? There's a few that are similar to that. So, would you like to respond to that, or otherwise?
Brings up one thing, not reporting.
This brings up one thing about reporting.
You can also report it to any of the co-directors.
You can also report it to any of the co-directors.
A parent and a daughter gave to me some wine and I put it up.
A parent and a daughter came to me about some point and I took it up.
Generally, we try to keep the people who complain confidential.
Generally, we try to keep the people who complain confidential.
One suggest what protection you want us to give.
You can suggest what protection you want us to give.
There is a tent on my line, so the police, the first sector said, they give me a police bodyguard.
When there was an attempt on my life, at first the police said that they'll give me a police bodyguard.
Then they said, they give you a gun license.
Then they said, we will give you a gun license.
Shoot anyone attack me.
So I can shoot anyone who attacks me.
Whatever you can suggest, whatever. So I know,
So you can suggest what we can do to protect you.
all I know, I should take him. This is not like answer, I can't send the other way.
And as far as I know, at least the management, no action is taken against someone who complains.
Rather, we take the action, complaint very seriously.
Rather, we take their complaints very seriously. Thank you.
This is a question: how will local non-ISKCON affiliated schools be supported by CPT for education? They are not ISKCON, but the children are. For example, Vasambita School and tutors. So that's a question to be. Do you want to respond to that? Manisha?
Hare Krishna, very recently we had a concern or a problem like this in Rasamita Kunj actually. There was some kind of, some children doing wrong things, misbehaving in terms of, touching each other's private parts and this and that. So, as we said in the past, that we are always offering our services extended to anywhere in Mayapur, but we cannot force, anyone. But we are happily extending our services that if they require training, we are always there to do that.
Well, that perhaps goes to this next question. Shouldn't CP training be compulsory? Why should it be only given to those who want?
Well, if the Mayapur management, of course, we should be working together. And if CPT is put in that way, that it is compulsory, we are ready to execute it. There's no problem with that. But in the past, there was problems. So one very important thing is somebody was saying that CPT should make regular visits to different places. In fact, we were doing that, but then again, there was some obstruction. So anyway, we have to work it out with the management. We're working on it. Thank you.
Okay, so continuing. So let me just finish this and then we'll go to Mara.
I heard that the CPL jurisdiction is over souls run by your son or in the power of your son.
I heard that the CPO jurisdiction is by is over schools run by ISKCON or in the property of ISKCON?
But you're saying somebody hundreds of school, all these schools, as a part of our greater community, they should what? CPT affiliation.
All these schools outside the greater community, like Rasapur, they should want CPT certification.
And good suggestion.
Good suggestion.
Yeah. Of course, there's also the, just as a suggestion, even if you can't force it, you can certainly publicize that someone doesn't want child protection. You can say, oh, this school is, you can list, make a big bulletin board. These educational initiatives have rejected ISKCON's help with child protection. Let the community decide.
And it's a comment.
But, okay, so let's, on this particular question, if you want to make a comment, quick comment.
Okay.
Is there a microphone that we can
I don't
use?
need a microphone for the schools, that they don't accept CPT training, etc. Then the parents should sign that they accept that.
Yes.
They accept it, so they cannot complain later on.
Yeah, that's to be, yes.
I have a suggestion to make the CPT department and the co-directors present here. Probably we should make it mandatory for each of the school, whether it is run by ISKCON or outside ISKCON, to put a board showing a certification that teachers and the school are certified by the CPT. It should display a reception of the school so that parents who are going to any school are confident, yes, this is under the scanner of CPO or CPT. So that would help a lot the overall community, broader community in place. Thank you.
Yes, and yeah. There are more things that can be done, but okay, so there's a bunch of questions here. Oh, just
I have a question.
For them. There's many child protection videos which are available on the material world.
There are many child protection videos which are available from the material world.
And there are compulsory education for certain people in the West.
There are compulsory education for certain people in the West.
So would you either have such a non-Christian videos pertaining to the grihasthas?
So would you be assumed to have such non-Krishna conscious training videos for the grihasthas?
Yes.
Can I have your votes?
Yes.
Those are already off the shelf. Those are already off the shelf.
Those are already off the shelf.
Done.
readily available. Yes, so this emphasizes that the training is also in our community. So it's not just in the schools, but it's amongst us. Okay, which also relates to another question here. I think this was answered.
Yeah, definitely important. Yeah.
This is answered.
Someone running with the mind.
Why are there not active campaigns about child protection directed to all Mayapur departments? Specifically the voluntaries, but anyway, that's the question. But why are there not active campaigns about child protection directed to all Mayapur departments? Because we've talked about schools, we talked about community, we talked about schools out, in the community, departments. So that's, you want to respond to that, or?
deal with children. Think we've thought that a lot of.
If departments don't deal with children, I don't think we've thought about it.
Because the children are supervised, then I don't know what interaction they have with this departments.
If children are supervised, then what interaction would they have with these departments?
But anyway, in general, girls, maybe now every member of our community videos.
In general, your view that we can have every member of our community view these videos
And be conscious.
and be conscious.
So I'm going to go through a few more that I think I've got a big pile here. There is a bunch of questions having to, I'll just read one of them, that is, how come local GBC leaders did not know what every taxi driver, something worker and former students knew? So in other words, and there's other, why was this 1994-95 CPT investigation never taken seriously and abuse continued for decades? Why was he allowed to participate in the girls' protocol at all? Didn't the previous CPO mandate prevent him from being involved in the school? There's a few questions basically dealing with the most recent case, asking for, and I think you answered, you did say in the beginning, I think, Lord Caitanya Prabhu, you said that there's going to be some committee that's going to investigate these questions. Why? How did this fall through the cracks? What were the lapses that took place? Is that correct? So that I think this question's been answered in that respect, that it'll all be investigated. Why? How did this happen? Okay. I suggest CPO have more legal authority in deciding each case. Also, that CPO can be involved in education of youth before marriage. So, education before marriage, I mean, this is something I'll just speak now on behalf of MCS. This is one of the things that we have identified as a major problem in our community, is that people are marrying without adequate premarital training, and then sometimes they end up in abusive relationships and things go from bad to worse. So,
Normally in the Holy Catholic religion, you can't get married in the church unless you go through a premarital training.
Apparently, in the Roman Catholic religion, you can't get married in the church unless you go through a premarital training.
Marriage is a Mayapur. I don't think we have the premarital training now.
There are many marriages which happen in Mayapur. I don't think there are any premarital training.
It's a good suggestion.
This is a good suggestion.
Mayapur, that was both. I was in the street. We live in the street.
So yes, so that's suggestions taken on.
They have
Congregation Development Ministry, they have some premarital course online.
So sometimes the children are abused by domestic violence or by seeing separated parents. In other words, the family environment parents with anger issues, then kids are abused in private tuitions. So how to protect or address kids in such circumstances? Report. That's the. As I said, these are, we're taking these on, we're hearing, but I would.
He's basically saying if there is abuse, they should report to the CPT.
So if you know, then you should report. If you see something, say something. Domestic, children,
And
cars, employees.
If you have an ombudsperson, then that person also will help. But actually, if there is abuse of a child, then it should go directly to the CPT. And they take notice of the case, and then they investigate, and they etc.
Where is the office?
So, more, in the same vein, if any of the parents is a psychopath or something. Maybe. Excuse me?
There's an irrelevant question.
Where is the office?
What time?
Okay, so CPT, tell us everything, how to report.
Okay, well, we do have posters in different boards. I don't know if it's still there, but should be there. Sometimes people pick them out, but basically you could approach us by calling us on telephone. You can write to us on the Mayapur CPT Gmail account also. And our office is located just above the Mayapur Community Hall. You know where the Mayapur Community Hall is. Timings are, I'm there mostly from 10 to 2:30, 3, like that. So basically, I think there's some confusion. There are 4 categories of abuse, and there are more, but basically primarily 4. One is emotional, one is mental, one is physical, and one is sexual. So these are, and neglect, these are there. You can add others also, but in any of these categories, if some child is abused, please report. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna. Ghanshyam Prabhu, in our existing schools within ISKCON Mayapur, how many trainings have you carried out in the last 3 years? And can you confirm to us that all the teachers who are currently teaching in these schools have gone through a training? That is existing teachers. Second question, what's your process of ensuring that new teachers who join go through proper background checks, clearance from the Child Protection Office, and also they go through the training? So while we hear from you that there is a facility, but how much of this training has already happened? I'm saying
The second question was already discussed here before you came, but you can answer the first question.
if it's not a long answer, you can.
Okay, it's a short answer. Actually, twice a year we do training for the schools, twice a year, different schools. Again, in the past, we were not forcing or making it mandatory, actually, because there was some, we wanted to make it mandatory, but some people were opposing to that. But twice a year, yes, we did twice a year.
Why would anybody oppose it?
I can tell you in private, what it is exactly. But
We want to transparency. Transparency.
When a girl wants to talk, they don't allow to talk. But when one Prabhu wants to make a question, he just grab the phone and make a question. We shall use right here.
Okay, yeah. All right, so there's still a pile of questions here. One of them, some of these get to quite personal to specific people, but we have a hand up over here, and I'd like to just start moving just for a little bit to see if some people really have, want to say some things. And we'll start with Kalindi up here.
This is a comment on the last question, which pertains to domestic relations. So this is a comment on the last question. It kind of pertains, it's broadened the scope of abuse to partners and spouses, and the management in the past and quite recent past has made comments to people who have come forward about domestic abuse, saying, if you come forward about this, you will be removed from Mayapur if you choose to split with your partner. So where does management sit on that now?
How do you go? Yeah, this is a question I was personally going to bring up, but and that is how does ISKCON Mayapur's divorce policies contribute towards the problem of domestic abuse in Mayapur? I think that's basically what you're saying, is that because ISKCON Mayapur has, and this is an MCS issue, has a policy of denying devotees who divorce certain facilities. Does that mean that they're indirectly enabling abusive situations to continue in fear of not losing their status? Is that your question?
It wasn't a question, but two questions again that have been read at the same thing.
Yeah.
We have been trying to report domestic abuse.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. So this relates to the problem of reporting, etc., but it also relates to the bigger question. So, any response to this?
Sorry, can I just clarify the question?
Yeah.
Because if I understood Kalindi right, and two questions that I wrote that were not read out along the same lines. A number of times we had to raise issues in relation to domestic violence. That's something that's quite prevalent in the community, including physical and sexual abuse of women and children. And we have been told, directly or indirectly by people in position, that this should not go forward because it tarnishes ISKCON's reputation. And visas and threats have been made. So if this is the climate we live in, then how do you envisage these reports or transparency or abuse being reported?
Who's threatening you to not come?
Who's threatening you not to tell?
Why should she have to say the names of people? I mean, you've been in management for what, 40 years or more? So why are you asking us for the names? Everyone knows who they are.
I'm always open.
So I think, Maharaj, we could ask those who want to submit that detail to you to do so in private, and you can respond. But it's not just people, it's policy. Because what I'm hearing from the dirty
Policy and those actions. And everyone knows ways of abuse it's not always.
It's not our policy about the co-directors that anyone who complains of abuse will be thrown out.
No, but the policy that's being referred to here is that if abuse is reported to the police or so on and so forth, then it harms the reputation of ISKCON, number one. Number two, that if a partner, if one person in an abusive relationship ends up in a divorce, then they can lose their status in various ways. So there's various policies, what I'm hearing,
that actually contribute to people not coming forward. And this is, if I'm correct. And that is, yeah, so.
Okay, here's Lord Caitanya, the LCS. He does counseling. He has thought on this point.
I think Bhakta Janapriya from MCS, he does counseling. I think he can talk on this point.
Well, we like to save marriages.
Definitely we would like to save marriages.
We don't like abuse to go on.
But we don't want abuse to go on.
Hare Krishna, as a MCS member in Audarya area, we have a sector-wise MCS sector leaders. So I am really looking after Audarya, and if there is any domestic type of problems, wife, husband abusing, those cases are reported. And Pancharatma Prabhu also, whatever he is explaining, that we try to counsel him, and it goes on for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, it may be more than 6 months also. But whenever it is not possible for us to solve through counseling, then we call them in our MCS meeting, hearing wife and husband together separately, and trying to solve all this problem. And if the problem is not solved, then as a MCS member or as an individual, what we can do? If they want the divorce and they want to separate, we try our level best to sort out that problem. And if it is not clearly sorted out, if it is going out of our control, we are forced to say that you go to the court. What to do? So this is the way MCS body at the last is dealing with. Otherwise, as an individual, counseling is there. It is not only for me, that counseling also is done by various other individuals also. So this is the way it is going on. So this is the answer I can give. If you have any suggestions, and if you want to know specific cases, we can share with you, not in this meeting, that how we have dealt with it, how the thing is situated at the present moment. We can tell all this history to you for your satisfaction. So this is the way it is going on for the domestic issues. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I have a pile more questions here, but if there's someone who's either submitted their question and really, or has something that they really want to say, we'll take a few minutes to just hear from devotees. Raise your hand. Is that Sridevi or Sridevi? Sridevi, yes.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. To stop prevention, we need to dismantle the structures that enable prevention to abuse that is going on. That requires a tremendous change, paradigm shift, awareness, training, education, and very stern measures to deal with those who indulge in abuse. We can't afford to just keep going the way we are going if we want to save this God. Our future is at stake. The people's faith, the young generation's faith is at stake over here. Our credibility is at stake here, and we have to walk the talk, which means that this is just one Isthagosthi. We need to have a series of Isthagoshtis, maybe over a whole year, for us to see a change in the community morale and esteem of elders and genuine trust and goodwill to be built. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for giving the opportunity. I have many questions, but the first and main, why the ISKCON is only like sectors. Like, okay, we have this ISKCON territory, we have few sectors, but ISKCON is where ISKCON devotees live. And if there's something is happening there, I personally twice came to CPT regarding few cases. And the only answer I get, we have no power there. Why? Children are living there, right? And ISKCON devotees, I'm not a devotee, but anyway, other devotees are living there. So my question, ISKCON is what? ISKCON is this fence? ISKCON is next Abhaynagar, Bornagar, whatever. Or ISKCON is, and these rules which we are trying to establish, the protection of devotees, the protection of children, we are trying to establish here in our community, should be spread, whatever private project, public project, ISKCON project, any project, there should be something which management and other authorities have the power to have influence.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Teja Rami, you have your hand up.
It's pretty much all around here.
The law, since 2012, law is any child abuse, it has to be reported.
The law after 2012 in India is that any child abuse has to be reported to the police.
And if you hear of it, anywhere, even any grass hut.
You can see, you hear about it anywhere, even in a grass hut.
So they go to the police.
You can report to the police.
I've seen you take out this secondary issue.
CBT is a secondary issue.
The help, training, the ready, and a lot of cases, like, I don't know, but maybe psychological, where the police take action.
You respond? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I just want to say something that we deal with every day in Smith School. It is a fact that children who grow up in a loving home come to school to learn. And children who grow up in a difficult home, abusive home, for one reason or another, come to school to be loved. So I would love to see that all the children come to school to learn because they feel so loved at home. It breaks my heart, it breaks all of our hearts, the whole community, when there's domestic abuse, the children observe this, the children are involved in it. It's really a sad, sad case. And today I was thinking, wow, there's 7 billion plus people on this planet. There's a small group of that many people who are devotees around the planet, even smaller group who are devotees here in Mayapur. We need to just love each other, care for each other, care about each other. This is a wonderful Isthagosthi. Thank you, Jayapataka Maharaj and the co-directors. We all need to start really caring about each other. If someone is having trouble, reach out your hand. If somebody's knows that something's going on, please report it. Anyway, that's just all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question. Yes, Mayapur.
Hare Krishna, this is maybe slightly off topic, but thank you for what you were saying. I know personally in our school, we had the training, people came in just to tick off the box kind of, like we did the CPO training, the CPT training. We had this also pre-girls Gurukul in the day school. We had teachers doing no-go-tell with us. Personally, it didn't help. So I'm just wondering what we can put in place that's better, that could be more helpful. Also in the girls' school, whenever members came from outside, be it the few times that leaders were let in, or managers were let in, or CPT people were let in, the whole school was staged just for them. All of us had to behave a certain way, say specific things. Would you like to add how that was set up? Even the education we were getting was staged on the math board. Math problems were written out, but the kids learning had no idea what it said on the board. And these were when people came in to see what was happening with the kids. I mean, right now I'm shaking just remembering it, because our abuse wasn't just the emotional, psychological, more than that stuff. These kids were robbed of their education, and it was presented as if they were learning something. And that's been the struggle of many of these kids. I came in a lot older. I came in at 13, so my basics had kind of been covered in terms of math, English, that kind of stuff. Many of them started at 4, 5, 6 years old, and they were there for more than 10 years, and they didn't learn anything. But when people came to do these routine checkups, it was staged that here the kids are learning. So there needs to be some kind of trust and rapport and integration between the schools, the kids, and these people that are supposed to be doing the checkups, because otherwise it will just go missed, like it did for us for 12 years. It just went missed, even though we had official checkups.
Okay, on this note, thank you, Michael. On this note, I want to say something that I have noticed for all of these years is that the children, they don't feel they can speak. Right? They are intimidated, they are told they are not allowed to speak, they are told their reputations will be destroyed. This is not just past. I have kids coming and telling me this now, that if I speak, they're going to destroy my reputation. So we have to change our mood in Mayapur, because it's always been the mood to attack the children, to punish the children. I know that sounds harsh, but it's been like that in CPT. Now, thank God, it's starting to change. But it's been like that in the CPT, it's been like that in the community. And then kids, because they're suffering so much or whatever, they go and they try drugs, or they go with the opposite sex or something, and then it's them that's being punished, looking at why they're behaving like this. And so we have to change our attitude so that the children feel safe and they can come forward and speak and say, this is what's happening to me.
Hare Krishna. Hold on. And we're doing this now, letting the devotees here speak as I'm suspending this part here, to allow the devotees to reveal their hearts and talk. But if any of the devotees here would like to respond, then please just indicate that you'd like to do so. Otherwise, we're going to continue in this same format. But if you could raise your hands, that would be good, then I can call upon people in some sort of order. So, I know your name. I'm sorry, Ishwari.
Hare Krishna. It's just a suggestion, but I think that it's something that we all have to think about it. We as a community in Mayapur, we need to have training as a community. We need to come together and learn how to develop our community to be safe and healthy. Because as Yayada say, Mayapur say, and many others want to say, we don't feel safe. Even elder ladies like me. Sometimes we don't want to speak up because we are afraid of what is happening with me after. So it's something very important. We need education as a community from the top to bottom. It's just my heart.
Thank you.
Mataji was saying, and many people
people are saying feel that we don't feel safe in Mayapur. And my observation is that the victims of child abuse and domestic violence, they don't feel safe for many, many reasons. But one of the most important reasons is that they don't see punishment to the criminals. If I know that there is a lot of problems in Mayapur and I don't see anything happen, I lost completely my trust in the community, I lost completely my trust in the authorities, and I will not speak about my own personal abuse, child abuse, domestic abuse, because I will think, what will happen? Nothing. So why will I expose myself to infame and shame if I know nothing will happen? And I want to address something to the management now. It's related to this. I was discussing with a friend and I had a lot of questions. And the person told me, be careful. Why? And my friend asked, when do you need MCS invitation letters? And I said, June. Purnamasi, be careful. Don't speak so much. Don't expose yourself. Don't make sure or give opportunity to go to the blacklist. So this is another kind of fear. We have abused victims, and when we see, we are also afraid of exposing ourselves because we need invitation letters. And I'm questioning, is CPT independent from management? Can Ganesham does what he wants in a good sense? Is visa office independent from the higher management? Can I speak here openly, honestly, with respect, knowing that my letter will be given to me? Or should I be afraid as another kind of victim?
Those who have their hands up recently, please, because I didn't notice everybody. I think here, hold on, just raise your hand if you wanted to speak, and I'll take note. I think here, and then Murari Bolini, I can't see that far, so.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the opportunity.
Krishna say hi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you. I'm going to put myself in a very vulnerable position here before all of you, because I have moved recently to Mayapur to try to save my son from the Asuric influences that are rampant in the Western world, and I'm not naive to think that he's safe just because I'm here. But what I want to say is that in regards to what that, I don't know your name, but that devotee that was exposing that many of the girls were in school for 10 years and didn't learn anything. I just want to call out, like, where are the parents? Like, we need to stop and drop this illusion that our families, our children are secondary to devotional service. And that we drop them somewhere else for someone to educate them and take care of them. And we go do bhajan and we go do whatever else, which, I'm taking responsibility for doing that. And I have a child that is very addicted to electronic gaming, and I am here trying to reverse the situation. But I just want to ask all of us, like starting with myself, I'm trying to become more present to our, children. And, I feel like the most treasured asset that we have are vested men and women power, people that are really, willing to get involved and do something. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Maureen? Anyone else who has a, yes?
someone taking notes?
Everything's being recorded and privately processed for our purposes. And Krishna Balaram Prabhu, I think, is already agreed to help compile everything into good notes. And yes, so yes. And everything that's here is also going to be.
Well, there's a lot going on here now.
Yeah. So, okay, all right.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj, all the authorities, community for being here. I want to share something that I forgot for 3 years. When my son was little, I was just walking by the campus. Brahmachari approached my son and said, Haribol. I was holding the bicycle, and he took advantage to embrace me by the waist. So I forgot about it. At that moment, I just felt disgusted, and I wanted to forget about it. But recently, with this abuse topic, I remember that, and I got to know the other 3 matters that I know, and maybe several other cases are being approached by brahmacharis in a not nice way. And I just want to suggest, I often see our brahmacharis not healthy engaged. I see most of them are exposed to money in the shops, in the stores, are exposed to women, are exposed to women clothing, are exposed to maybe improper content on the media and the phones. I would humbly suggest that if our brahmacharis could help us, for example, being in touch with, for example, Gauranga Gardens, 1 hour mandatory to help me in touch with the earth, 1 hour dham seva. I know you will laugh at me because these are the things I do, but by experience, this is very healing for the soul, and this grounds the mind. So we are grounded to the holy dham, and then we become humble, and we try to respect everything, not just our sadhus and pure devotees. We try to see this plant, these children, this woman. So I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for my question.
Any other? Yes, here. I can't see so far.
Hare Krishna. I just had a question. Will those questions be answered publicly in some kind of written form later in a forum or micro community groups, WhatsApp or something? Will they be answered so that everybody could see them after the management discussed them and came to some conclusions?
Will you respond to this?
The reason we have this istagosthi is to get the feedback of the community. So naturally, Krishna Balaram Prabhu was asked beforehand to take note of the main points, and he will collect all the papers. And Pancharatma Prabhu will have to point out which ones have not been answered, which one have not been dealt with. And then we have 2 choices: either we have another istagosthi to deal with them, or we deal with them within the management.
The question though is that also a document, or you're asking, will there be a document as a product of this process?
Maybe we can have somebody volunteer to put this on writing.
Okay, we can get to that. But is there going to be a document? If you get help from others?
I can only speak for myself because we are with 4 co-directors, so we will have to discuss how to best proceed. But naturally, we have to take the constructive points and put them in action. That's one of the activities that we should be doing.
Yes. You have a question. Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Humble obeisances to everyone. I just have a question or comment, I don't know. That I see that sometimes we have been a little bit like manipulated in a way that we don't understand what is leadership. For example, in sannyas ashram, we know that sannyasis should not be touching women in any way. And we are tending to normalize that. We see that many of our ISKCON sannyasis, they are getting used to touch women, embrace them, and having this kind of relationship. And we think that this is because they are pure devotees. And I think this is a very dangerous thing. We should be very strict about it. And also, I wanted to ask you why, like, some people that they are even under trial, they are allowed to be here. Like one sannyas from Latin America, he's not from ISKCON, but he's under a trial right now because he abused, I think it was 30 or 40 women. And he was here in Govinda's restaurant with all our sannyasis, with all our leaders, and in all public pictures. So that is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So again, there are many questions that are being taken here that do require a more, a response from the management, which is not fully represented. So what I've understood is that those questions are going to be taken in and response will be coming.
See any sannyasi touching a woman, tell me.
If you see any sannyasi touching a woman, tell me. We don't allow that. Hare
More, I saw some other hands up here. Jayapataka?
Hare Krishna, this is This is a little bit off topic, but when it comes to children, I was thinking when you plan Mayapur Dham, that there should be a lot of green areas and parks and places for children to play, like nature. Like any big city, like in the West Pacific, you go to, there is always a lot of green areas, and there's always parks and playgrounds, and that's very good for the mind to get nature in. So when you make the plans, it would be very beneficial if that could be incorporated, because I see now, for example, in Gornagar, there's absolutely no place for children. There's so many children in Mayapur now, and there's nowhere for them to be. There's no green areas, there's no parks, there's nothing except for down where we live, that I think at Munamata they made a really nice park. Just for the future, that there will be a lot of green areas. Hare Krishna.
I put on my MCS hat now and say thank you. The Mayapur project has allocated 1.2 acres of land in Gornagar for a community park. And with your support, some work has already been done. And we invite everyone in this room to join and help us to open that park within the next couple of weeks. We met yesterday, was it yesterday? No, a couple of days ago. On Friday, we had a meeting there of devotees who responded. One devotee is already committed to getting a few things set up. At least football can start. And volleyball and so on. But as soon as we get more support, we'll be putting in swings and slides and everything else. So we want to respond with action, and we are inviting everyone to please join the team to do that, make it happen. So thank you. Anyway, let's we have this gentleman here. I can't see you. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Roja, I am a teacher at Mayapur International School. I teach high school students, and from this experience of LGUs in Mayapur community, practically all of them have lost faith in the management and the spiritual leadership. They only believe in Srila Prabhupada. So I was wondering if we can do something to bring their faith back to the normality, where they trusted our leaders so much. Now they are practically, like they don't even talk about all this. They say, we don't believe anyone, we only believe Srila Prabhupada. So we can do something about this also. And my request is to Lord Caitanya Prabhu, if we can get all these questions documented, because these are very important questions. All of us have put effort to write this question, and we want to get answers for this question. If we can get this question documented and post it somewhere in the community forum, what management is doing to answer this question, that will satisfy all of us. Thank you so much.
I saw a couple more hands over, but I'm looking this direction, not this direction. So put your hands up again if you want to say something. So, Sridevi, and then, is that Sridevi?
Hi, David.
Okay, sorry.
I can see that there is a lack of communication between management and the community.
Okay.
And many of these questions, we didn't need to ask if we had communication. But we cannot depend on the management, like the community, we have to work on it. We cannot just sit down and wait for the management to solve our problems. We have to put up ourselves, like we are grihasthas. We used to have teams before the 2016 riots. We used to have subcommittees that will cover all the problems, of the community members for single ladies and everything. But we cannot just sit down here, they complain or I ask questions and wait until the management solves our problems. Every one of us are part of this community, and if we want to make a better place, then we have to do something about it ourselves. So, for example, we should get down now who would like to be a member of a subcommittee for communication, which we used to have when Krishna and Gaurav were kind of in charge of the Western devotees. This could be a solution. Because right now we're asking, is there an office for the CPT? Who are the members? We don't know anything. Nobody tells us anything. So it's a lack. I'm willing to, if somebody's interested for the communication, I'm here and I would like to form a group.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's just keep scanning. Somebody I saw next, Kalindi, I think, or you. Yeah.
This is a comment more than anything. I know on good authorities from Ramadevi, who is no longer with us, that she at one point did go to sannyas ministry on BVP about inappropriate touching that she witnessed between him and Shrade, and the sannyas ministry dismissed it. I have also personally gone to what I believe is an authority to tell them about the abuse that was going on, because the girls were telling me, and it was swept under the rug and nothing was done about it. So, fix it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to come back to some of these.
I really thank everybody and especially the management for what is happening today. But this is just the start as I see it. And we need an ongoing series of such meetings so that something productive can happen. There's a serious crisis of faith among the young people. And we need to show that we are serious about addressing their concerns and build back trust. Srila Prabhupada said, this is a place where there's love and trust. And if we don't take those steps to make it happen, how are we going to have them have faith in us? Just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to take a few more minutes to read some of the important submissions to add to this. Is there any ISKCON internal training for devotees that are interested to get trained in CPO issues? I know a lot of youth are interested to help in this. So that's a very good suggestion, I think. Give a list of what are positive things you as leaders have done for upliftment of community every week, every month. Yes, this has been said, but I'll read it out again. If victims, professionals are threatened by their visa being canceled and or physically or verbally threatened, how can we ensure that abuse is reported or taken seriously. So that question was asked at, I guess, Krishna Char.
I just want to say one thing. Many people have said that, that same question.
Firstly, thank you for all of the managers and for the confidence. So many people, as we all know, have reflected on that question, that there is a lot of threat of violence and people abuse it, and yet you're filming this.
This is only for internal use.
Well, fair enough, but an audio would do, wouldn't it? And yet you've got all these people who've made allegations.
An audio would have done.
People are asking for names, and it's all on film. Does anyone think that's a good idea? No, so why? I mean, it seems kind of bizarre that it's been done. And also the fact is, how are you going to have any change, as much as you pointed out, if we don't address why this has been go on for decade after decade? Where is a report that will simply give some explanation about how the management structure has failed? And obviously communication is a big part of it. Then surely that's the first thing we have to address. Why is it going on? Why has it been allowed to go on? Why are so many people afraid to stand up and speak? Someone in this very assembly today told me they're afraid to stand up and speak. And yet it's been filmed. How is that possible?
I will give the assurance on behalf of those who have, I've spoken to the gentleman here who's doing this, that only the audio is really of value, although I think he's using film in order for a Kinchan Balaram. This will only go to you, a Kinchan Balaram, right? Yeah, this is all, and maybe you can give us an assurance that this is only for your use. He has been assigned to take the notes, and so for his ability to do so, he wanted to have this recorded. And he's going to say something.
It will not make out for my side, I can assure you that.
Yeah. So that's an assurance that it will not be used for any other purpose. But your other points remain, and
the point is that it's not necessary. So why is it done? Because it will clearly prevent people from speaking freely, as will the asking of names on stage. No. So clearly, it's completely unnecessary, right? And yet it's going on. If you want to have a free, open discussion, surely there should be some guarantee that you can speak freely. When we know that one of the main issues that has been brought up so many times is people cannot speak freely, right? So you may be brave, you may have stood up and said something, but a lot of people are not. A lot of parents are afraid of many different things. And yet, this is the situation we have. An assurance, I completely trust the Kinchan Balaram. But, it's an electronic device, it's unnecessary, that's all.
Thank you. So, you don't? Okay. If Kinchan Balaram says he doesn't need it, so, but others, you need only the audio. You have audio, so you don't need it. So stop it. Okay. Confusion. Just stop being recorded. Thank you. Oh yes, here we go.
Hare Krishna. Navadvipa, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My request is, whenever complaints come in and it's been lodged, all the complaints goes to Guru Maharaj. It's a request. So that the complaints cannot be dismissed or it can't be hidden, or the things should be open and clear.
Thank you. I'm going to read out, I think, a good question here. Would the police actually care if something was reported? There have been cases where they just laughed at Mataji's reporting and did nothing. The offender would usually be male, and they would take his side. So this is a very valid and important question.
That's why we have our own CBT, PLMO.
That's why we have our own CPT, we have PLMO.
And you don't trust us, the police.
If you don't trust us, then you have to go to the police.
Don't trust the police, go to us.
If you can't trust the police, then you go to us.
Trust anybody, I won't.
You can't trust anybody in his iPhone.
Okay, so what are actual responsibilities of the MCS? As an MCS member, I would say we're going to have to get back to you on that. We have a document. We do have a document that describes what our responsibilities are, but it is a bit of a work in progress. But the term basically defines it. We are the Mayapur community sevaks. So our responsibility is to serve the Mayapur community. We are also responsible to hear and to mediate and to try to address any issues that arise within the community amongst devotees, particularly. And we're also responsible to try to serve the needs of the community in terms of their spiritual development and in terms of their participation in festivals and things like that. But I agree that we haven't communicated our responsibilities well enough. So.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept.
Hold on, one second.
I think that
Yes.
the idea of an onward person is that you can call and complain to him, and that person should not reveal it.
The idea of having an ombuds person is that you can go and complain to him or her, and that person should not reveal it.
And when that person over management and say that this thing is happening or this thing is a concern.
And that person can go to the management and say that this thing is happening or this thing is a concern.
You don't have to worry about cutting your visa.
So that you don't have to worry about anyone threatening you about your visa.
I don't know, have you got any recommendations for how the person?
India or she's having got a
Yeah, there is one. And she's about to speak.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisance. I would like to take up that position as an ombudsman and stand up for the devotees in terms of accountability, transparency, and there should be, it's required now, we can see, there should be an assessment for leaders. There's no assessment on leaders. Where is the accountability and transparency? We are, leading leaders here, but...
Give me 1 second. Let Audarya.
Yeah, so very, very important. We are in the social media age. And accountability and transparency is paramount and is warranted now in this time. So I would like to stand up, like Guru Maharajas have said, somebody to stand up that they can come to me and we can stand up to the management. If I have the knowledge, I've been in the management. So this needs courage, determination to stand up. We have to clean the swamp. Haribol. I'm volunteering my service in this regard. Hare Krishna.
Ishwari, she has her hand up.
Regarding to Mataji's suggestion.
If they like her, then you can submit your recommendation.
Yeah, there's a process.
Thank you for my obeisances to you. I was going to say exactly that it should be the community, whole community, who choose
who is the or who are the person that are going to represent them. It's not like one person or this person, because I think that it can be. I think that it has to be something that the community chooses.
So
one more point, sorry. I heard, for example, that in a large temple, they have that system. The temple president is appointed by the community. So maybe we can, and it's been a very good result. So I think that it would be some good point in that.
Yeah, Lord Caitanya has a board of directors which is elected. Yes, pardon.
I'm volunteering for the service, so it's up to the community to do the selections, and there can be many people who are volunteering. So I'm coming forward. So if I want the position, I'm volunteering for the position. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So there are more things here, but we have, I believe we covered most, but I'm going to see if there are a few more that I can handle. Oh, there's a Russian question here. Can I give that?
I was witnessing one talk between two senior devotees. They were conversing about some events which were happening in the families, in the relationship between the parents and the children, and the senior authorities in the families, they preach to children that if something is happening with you, that's your karma. So you better do your dharma, and in due course of time, everything will become better for you. Because of this reason, they tolerate, children tolerate this, or considering that that's part of their karma, and they don't know that they can speak and they have the right to speak about this.
So, thank you. Yeah. So, I've just been informed that Jayapataka Maharaj has another meeting that he has to attend, and he requested to either we can schedule another Isthagosthi to continue on these topics. There, we could also continue now. What is your preference? Would you prefer that we end now and schedule a second gathering? Okay, so that seems to be pretty much the response. So then the next question is when? This coming Sunday is Christmas. That's week, right? Christmas Day. It's a pretty
2 weeks. 2 weeks. 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
I don't know if I've done a good job or a bad job. I'm interested to participate. I won't be here 2 weeks from now. I will be here 3 weeks from now. So maybe 3 weeks gives a little bit more time to process this, but or somebody else to do this service that I'm doing. So, what is the preference? 2 weeks? 1 week?
2 weeks.
1 week. 2 weeks. 1 week.
1 week? Next Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of 1 week? Saturday there's also Saturday the 24th? All in favor of Saturday the 24th? Are you all open to any Saturday or Sunday? Okay. So Saturday the 24th? Raise your hand if that's good. Okay. Saturday the 24th. Same time. 11, same time.